I recently got this comment on one of my video where I was asked that I have qualified JRF, and I was asked to tell honestly that whether it is important to do PhD in order to get an assistant professor job in universities or colleges in India. Now this is very common. Many students who qualify JRF, they have this question in their mind, and you might have also come up to watch this video by looking into the title and thumbnail to get the answer of it. So I'll try to explain based on the current scenario which I know, based upon whatever things I know from my colleague, whatever I have seen from my seniors, what is going on currently. I'll try to explain everything in a very honest way. Okay, so we'll try to hit the reality in this video, whatever is going on all around. So let's start with it. So let's talk about what the rule says. Okay, the rule says that in order to become assistant professor, you should have qualified NET. Okay, LS, that is lecturership, and PhD is preferred. Okay, now see, NET makes you eligible to apply, but eligibility and selection are two different things. Okay, so the actual scenario when you sit for an interview or when you apply for a particular position of assistant professor, you might be eligible to apply for it, you might be able to fill the application form, but you have to compete, right? You like, let's say there is 5 vacancy and there will be like, in a rough scenario I'm saying, there will be like 50 applications. So you have to compete with all those 50 people for that 5 vacancies. So basically the thing is that if somebody comes up with a PhD degree or with a complete PhD and you only have lecturership, you have not done PhD, in that case the person who has done PhD will be preferred, and this is clear. Okay, all these universities in their application, they will mention it in italics that PhD is preferred. Preferred means if there are 2 candidates, one has PhD, one does not has PhD, although both of them can apply for the application, both of them can apply for the position, but someone who has done PhD will be preferred. Okay, so this thing should be very clear to you that in actual scenario, the eligibility, it only makes you eligible to apply for that application. You can only fill the application, but the selection is based on what is preferred. Now let me tell you the honest reality of competition level in India. Okay, so there are thousands of NET JRF qualified candidates, and that's why like when any application comes up, there are thousands of applicants who apply for it. Okay, assistant professor positions, and you know that the number of positions or the number of job vacancies which come are relatively very less. Okay, it's like a very few number of application comes in. It's like per seat you have to compete with hundreds of students. Okay, I'm just telling you a very conservative number. This number can be big enough. So depending upon the subject, of course, like for different subjects this competition varies, but all in all, the number of positions are very less for assistant professor, and the number of people who have qualified like NET or JRF, they are way more than the number of applications which comes every year. Okay, now what selection procedure the committee is going to take? So there will be like scrutiny, like stepwise scrutiny, right? So the first scrutiny step will be, of course, those who have PhD, they will be considered for the next round, and those don't have PhD, they will be like excluded from the next round. Then they will look upon how many papers particular person has published. Then they will look upon how many, what is the teaching experience the person has, or what is the research exposure the person has, whether he or she has done some postdoc or not. Okay, so all these things count in, and then the final list of people who will be called for interview is going to be made. So out of those hundreds, few of tens of students who will be qualified or who will go for interview will be based upon all these preference criteria. The harsh reality is that already, like the students who have applied or the applicants who have applied for that assistant professor position, they already have PhDs. So they already have PhD, right? So if you are someone who has not done PhD, you are just applying, your chances of getting to the next round again is very less. Let's talk about what are the advantages of PhD, what PhD actually gives you. So first of all, if you do PhD, you are going to get some research experience, you are going to get some teaching experience, you are going to get some conference experience, because these 3 things, if you are doing PhD in a from a good place with a good training, not just you are doing it for the namesake. Okay, I'm talking about when you are doing PhD honestly, in that case, then you will have academic network, you will get to know people in your field in the academic network, and you will get to know people in India, in abroad, everywhere. And this is going to give you a lot of subject depth also. You will be able to think more. like in your subject. So a good PhD is going to give you all these things, okay? And this in turn is going to make your CV stronger. This is going to prepare you for the interview position or for the things which you are going to come after PhD. So after PhD, when you apply for assistant professor position, you will be having all these experiences in your CV which you can show in your application, and these are going to benefit you in the next round for the application. Now I already made a video, a detailed video, where I talk about like who should do PhD, but over here just to give an overview that for whom this PhD or PhD is actually worth to do, okay? So if you genuinely want to become assistant professor, I would highly recommend you to do PhD, okay? Because without PhD, I would not recommend you to go for assistant professor, because in that case, you will be hunting for a lot of applications and the chances of selection will be very less, okay? Then if you want to become a scientist, in that case also PhD plays very important role. You cannot become a scientist in India if you don't have PhD. And if you want to become a researcher, like an independent researcher or a researcher in some institute or in some, even if you want to go in some R&D company and become a researcher, in that case also you need a PhD. So if you want to become assistant professor, scientist or researcher, you need PhD in all these three cases. Now, who is going to enjoy PhD? Someone who likes teaching, someone who likes doing research, someone who can be patient enough, who have a lot of patience, because it is a long duration thing, okay? It is not going to give you results in just few years or just after exam. It's not like that, okay? You have to wait for a relatively longer time, and then you should be able to read papers, you should be able to understand things, you should be able to write. So all these things you will learn during PhD, but of course you should be a person who is there to sit and read papers. Then PhD is going to be a good journey, or you are going to enjoy PhD in that case. Remember that PhD is not just a degree, it's a training for your academic life. It trains you for the future academic things which you are going to apply for, be it assistant professor, scientist or researcher. In all these cases, whatever you will be trained throughout your PhD, you are going to use all that training in order to make your career in those fields. Now let me be very honest with who should not do PhD, okay, or why, or for whom PhD is not going to be any worth of. So in case if you want a stable salary, in that case PhD might not be that worth, because even if you go in academia, if you want to become assistant professor, you have to keep doing research in order to push yourself from assistant to associate professor and then become professor and then senior professor and all those things. So you have to keep working in your field. You have to be active in your field. If you want a government job tag, in that case also I would not suggest to do PhD, because these are not going to keep you motivated throughout your PhD time, okay? If you just want to do PhD for the doctor's sake, that is also not the right approach to become or to do PhD, because as I said, this is a long process, long duration, and during this whole journey you might lose your motivation. So it's better if you are just motivated with these three things like salary, government job or doctor title, don't go for PhD, okay? If you don't like doing research, stay away from it. If you cannot hold on uncertainties, because PhD will bring a lot of uncertainties, so stay away from it, okay? Long-term academic struggles, if you are not ready for it, stay away from PhD. Then if you have other options with you, like if you are looking for other options like industry job, or if you're preparing for some other exams, like one-day exams like SSC and other exams, in that case also stay away from PhD, okay? Those exams might give you job relatively much faster than PhD. Now one thing I want to clarify over here, that JRF and PhD are very different things. JRF is like a ticket to start your PhD or to get stipend during your PhD, to get a fellowship during your PhD, okay? And PhD is a duration, or it's a journey, okay? So PhD is like you are doing research for a particular time. JRF is there to support your research, to fund you during your research journey. Let's talk about current hiring trends, okay? What trends are going on based upon what I have seen, what I have heard from my seniors, what I have heard from my colleagues. So the current hiring trend says that in many universities, first of all, they prefer PhD plus postdoc. Now, PhD is also not enough in order to become assistant professor in universities, okay? So they prefer PhD plus postdoctorate. So postdoctorate you will do after PhD. After PhD, a certain duration of training, research training you will be going through. That is called postdoc. That's a totally different thing. So both those things are required in order to become assistant professor. Certain duration of postdoc is required. In some places it is 2 years, in some places it is 3 years, depending upon universities. Universities have their own criteria. Some top institutes like IITs, ISERs and all, they always hire someone who has a postdoc experience or some industry experience after PhD. So you should have some post PhD experience. So after finishing your PhD, either you should have worked some time in industry or you should have worked some time in as a postdoc. Then only you can apply for these places. So your question, which is like how important PhD is. So PhD is important, and then there is certain more things which are important if you want to go for these top institutes and top universities. I think I have covered everything in short, and whatever information is required, I try to give that. If you have any other query, you can ask in the comment, but let me tell you that in order to become assistant professor, I'm just summarizing things, okay? If you want to become assistant professor in university, PhD is mandatory. You should do PhD, and but you should also try to choose a good supervisor, try to choose a right field of research, and try to do a quality work. You will find all these videos on my channel, how to find a good supervisor, how to find a research area or area of interest. All these videos I have made in past, so please watch those videos. So assistant professor is not a job which you will get after clearing NET or JRF, but it's a career which is built on your PhD. So if you do your PhD, throughout your PhD, you actually build yourself to become assistant professor. I hope I made the point. I hope you like this video. If you have any other query, you can ask in the comment section below. That's it from my side for this particular video. If you have more questions, if you have more interest in knowing about research and related stuff, please subscribe to the channel. I keep posting videos related to research, PhD, postdoc, and all the things related to it. That's it from my side. See you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.